This is the Investing News Network. I'm Georgia Williams, and we're in Toronto for day 3 of the PDAC conference. Joining me today is Gordon Neal, Director, President, and CEO of Domestic Metals. Good to see you again.
Great to be here.
How has PDAC been so far?
I haven't eaten lunch in 2 days. I can't make it to lunch. This place is insane. I mean, I've been coming here for 15 or 17 years, and we go through cyclical. That's obviously where commodities were cyclical, and we've had a lot of downtime in this environment and in this commodity cycle. And to see the kind of enthusiasm and the deals and the people, and it's really uplifting. Money is actually flowing. I can say that it's flowing not only at the top levels where it normally starts when you have these kind of opening in the markets, but it's flowing down to the juniors, and that's getting this. The whole floor is excited. It's really, really nice to see happy people, and now our job is to deliver on those funds that are coming into shareholders.
Yeah, absolutely. The enthusiasm is palpable in the, in the
absolutely.
building. So back to Domestic Metals. Can we start with your ticker symbol and what exchanges you trade on?
DMCU on the TSXV Venture and DMCUFF on the OTC.
Fabulous. And Domestic Metals is an exploration company focused on the Americas. Can you tell us about your Smart Creek project and what it's like operating in Nevada, which has been named the #1 mining jurisdiction by the Fraser Institute?
Now, I'm in Montana, not Nevada, but that's okay. There's so much going on, people can get confused.
Right.
We're actually 6th in the Fraser Institute. It is a Rio Tinto project. Rio Tinto, it's an exploration project, and it's a copper porphyry in Montana, just east of Phillipsburg, Montana. Rio Tinto likes it, but it didn't make its basket of exploration projects. But they liked it so much that they actually went out and asked our geologist, who's worked for Rio Tinto in the past, if they would look at it and if they liked it. And our geologist loved it. Our two geologists loved it, and so they decided to take it on and put it inside of Domestic. So it's the fact that we have Rio Tinto as partners. They have a technical committee that we report to. We can use their resources, which is really great to have a company of that size. $140 billion market cap, or $100 billion market cap of Fluxes. But the third largest mining company in the world is your partner, and they've basically handed us a project that we look like we're going to make a major discovery on this thing in the next 2 to 3 months with the drill program. So yeah, it's very exciting for us.
Yeah, and it's been an exciting year and busy year so far. You guys started a geophysical program.
Yep.
How is it going? Can you give us an update?
We're finishing it today, as a matter of fact. They're on the ground in the snow in Montana, running our geophysical lines. I hate to say that I don't know exactly how many kilometers of geophysical we're running. My geologists know that, but it's a lot of them. We're covering it's 50 square kilometer project, so it's a lot of geophysics. They've been running those lines for the last month, and it will take 2 weeks for us to process the data, and then we go from there. So, Rio Tinto did a geophysical program that they handed to us, but it was incomplete, and we could see that there were some hot spots, some heavy conductors there. That lit up the geophysics, but they weren't complete. So we wanted to complete them before we start the drill program.
And the drill program will be commencing later this year, or 2027?
Yeah, so we're going to take the next 2 weeks to process the geophysical data. We've been processing it as we're getting it anyway, but we'll be complete on the geophysics processing in the next 2 weeks. And so then we plan to. We've hired a drill team. Company, and we will be starting to drill sometime at the end of March, probably maybe early April, just depending on. That's not weather, and we can drill in the winter.
Right.
But we just want to make sure the geophysics have tightened up our targets. We're the 5th company to be drilling on this. When you're looking for a porphyry, you don't want to be the first. You want to be about the 5th or the 6th, and Rio was the 5th, and we're the 6th, and they handed us their best hole, which was distal to the center of a porphyry, and that was 109 meters at 0.75. and if that percent copper, and if that's distal to the porphyry, my geologists are telling me to get ready for a serious hit in this next drill program.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yes, it's very exciting.
And and on the corporate side, you've just announced a private placement.
Yep.
How is it going? And once closed, where are you planning on allocating the capital?
As I said, it's very exuberant, so there's money coming in. We timed it a little bit off in that there's, when I timed the announcement of it, there was Indaba and VRIC, and there's a whole bunch of PDAC, BMO, and so the money didn't come in as fast as I'd like, but it's coming in now as we get to the end of PDAC. We're looking for $3.5 million to augment our drill program. We initially were going to look at 5,000 meters, but Peter McGaw, we worked at Mag Silver with, he contacted me and said, look, I think there's a carbonate replacement deposit here by the numbers that he sees came out in our sample program. Mm-hmm. And he says, you really want to give your geologists a bit more meterage on the drill bit to make sure that they're successful in hitting very close to the center of this porphyry. And he says there's probably more. He's telling me it's like tentacles off the porphyry. There should be more than one CRD here. So I need to give my geologists enough drill pipe to do that. So we've expanded it from 5,000 to 10,000 meters. And as I said, it will start probably the end of March or early in April. And I was just talking to the guys at ALS at the booths here, and they can't promise us now because of all the money that's coming into the sector here, right, that we can get our results as quickly as we would like. I'd like to get them in 30 days. 45 is probably more likely, and it might run to 60 days. So if we drill in April, we probably won't be putting out results until June, July.
So something to look forward to in the summer.
Yeah.
And you touched on this a little bit, but you have a partnership with Rio Tinto, and they are actively prioritizing copper production, aiming to bolster output by 40% by 2030. What does that mean for a project like Smart Creek?
Well, it means that they're paying attention to us. I mean, first of all, we can only get 60% from them. I tried to get 80%. They said no way. I tried to get 70%. They said no. And it tells me that they are expecting this to be a successful and fairly large project. To the south of us, 50 miles to the southeast, is a mine called the Butte Mine. Now, the Butte Mine's produced 22 billion pounds of copper in the last 120 years. It is the largest copper producing mine in the United States and has produced 20% of all copper ever produced in the United States. They're telling me, Rio is intimating that the fact that we're in the same formation, same rock formation, mm-hmm, the same trend, which is the Helena formation, and it's the same age rocks. The hope is that we're going to tag into another butte. But again, that's forward-looking statements, and as an explorationist, I'm going to make a lot of those. But I've made a lot of forward-looking statements in my career, and they've turned out to be backward-looking statements when you look back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does it mean to you that like Rio Tinto is one of the biggest mining companies in the world, and they believe in you, and they've taken a chance with you guys?
They actually believe in the project.
Yeah.
And they believed in us. The belief in us really comes, and again, I've been doing this for 35 years. It comes down to the geologists who they trust to do this correctly. And these are geologists who have made major discoveries in the past. And when you work in this world of commodities and geology and mining, you want to stick with geologists that have made multiple major discoveries, multiple major economic discoveries. You can make a discovery, but making sure that it's economic, that it can stand on its own. I've been trained by these guys like Peter McGaw, Dan McGinnis, and Ri Feng from Silvercorp, that if it can't stand on its own, it's really not worth asking shareholders for their money so you can keep diluting and keep asking the banks for more money. It makes no sense. Find projects, and they're hard to find, but Mag Silver, New Pacific, and now domestic, I would say, I'm hoping domestic will be economic, but we will see.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point you mentioned, because they are getting harder to find and they're getting harder to access.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Right. As we head into Q2, what catalysts should investors be watching out, if aside from the drill results that'll be coming out in 45
Yeah,
days.
the most important thing for us right now is to put our money where our mouth is. It's doing a lot of arm waving. Yes, Rio hit 109 meters at 0.75. Our sample program was the highest results I've ever seen in my career in 35 years. 102 grams per ton gold, 38 grams per ton silver, and 23% copper at surface. That's when Peter called and said, I think you might have a CRD on your hands. So what's exciting? What the biggest catalyst for us is to complete this financing, which we'll have done in the next few days, and then get the drills turning and get these results out, and as I said, take these forward-looking statements and make them backward-looking statements. And I think that's again a Peter McGaw terminology. When we make forward-looking statements and they turn out to be true, they're no longer forward-looking. We can look backwards and say, we said this and we did this, and that's what we delivered. And I'm looking forward to delivering those backward-looking statements to my shareholders.
And I look forward to catching up with you again
Yeah,
soon.
it's going to be. It's a real whirlwind right now. And the next time I see you, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have my dancing shoes on.
I look forward to it.
Me too.
It was lovely to chat with you again,
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Once again, I'm Georgia Williams, and that was Gordon Neal, Director, President, and CEO of Domestic Metals.